Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Bugonia, the latest film from director Yorgos Lanthimos, critically acclaimed and bizarre filmmaker behind such films as The Lobster, The Killing of the Sacred Deer, and Poor Things. So if you've seen those movies, you kind of know you're getting into some surreal weirdness when you're getting into this film. But this film is a little different than some of his older films. It's actually a remake of a Korean film called Save the Green Planet from 2003. But from what I understand, it's kind of a loose remake and only takes certain elements from that original movie. And some of those elements are spoilery, so I won't tell you which elements until we get to the spoiler section. So
yeah, Save the Green Planet is the same plot, but a very different movie.
Yeah, it's mainly like vibes and tone that separate the movies.
Yeah.
And also setting. This movie is very firmly set in America. That movie's very firmly set in South Korea. So it is what it is. This movie is about a factory worker played by Jesse Plemons, who's nigh unrecognizable in this movie, not only because his performance is so good, but he's also lost a lot of weight recently. Took me a while to even realize it was him when I first started watching it. But he plays a factory worker who is convinced that the CEO of the company he works for is an alien from outer space and is part of a mass invasion with the goal of killing the bees and thereby destroying the planet. He believes that so much that he is going to kidnap the CEO, played by Emma Stone, and get her to confess to her crimes against humanity using some torture and some other methods. So this movie is equal parts a black comedy, it is equal parts a thriller, it is equal parts a horror movie, and with the central question at the center of it being about whether or not the CEO is an alien, it's also kind of a sci-fi movie too. So there's a lot going on in this movie. I don't think anything's going to truly prepare you though for just how weird this movie can get, but we'll get to that in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
I actually really dig this movie.
It's good.
It's a good movie.
It's good.
It's a really good movie. It's the kind of movie that fucks with you from start to finish. The question of whether or not she's an alien, at any given point in this movie, you're going to be going back and forth. You're going to be like, okay, he's clearly crazy. And then you're going to be like, oh no, wait, she's got to be an alien. And then you're going to be going back. And then by the end of the movie, you're going to have an answer. And we'll talk about that in the spoiler section. But for most of this movie's running time, it's just fucking with you.
Yeah.
Hardcore. And it's doing so in such a darkly humorous way. You kind of feel bad laughing at times because first off, the movie makes sure at any given point you feel bad for the protagonist.
Yeah.
The main character played by Jesse Plemons he's so isolated, poor as shit. And on top of all that, this corporation's also kind of responsible for the death of his mom, played by Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah.
So he's got like a personal stake in all this, but he also comes across as completely unhinged and crazy and also low-key dangerous.
Oh yeah, very dangerous.
So you feel bad for him, but you also recognize his danger, but at the same time, you're also kind of laughing at him.
Yeah, because he's kind of pathetic.
He's super pathetic. Like one of my favorite like visual jokes in this movie is when him and, is it his cousin or his brother?
It's his cousin.
It's his cousin, all right. His neurodivergent cousin, who is clearly very far on the spectrum and as such is very easily led astray by his cousin. The two of them, when they actually go out to like carry out the kidnapping, they put on like Jennifer Aniston masks? Why? That's so freaking bizarre. But even more than that, it's not like they're like latex masks that they bought at like a Halloween store. They're literally like printouts of Jennifer Aniston that they've like taped to their face. And you're sitting there going like, are they trying to make some sort of weird point? Did Jennifer Aniston like say something about the planet that's important in this? Or are they just like, is that just a random choice that they made because he's kind of weird and crazy? You're kind of spending a huge chunk of the movie just wondering how crazy is he, because there are points in the movie where you start to go, wait a minute, could a human being survive that?
Yeah.
Maybe he's onto something about the alien thing. And I loved that back and forth. I loved that at any given moment, I did not know where this movie was going.
Yeah.
The movie also has a lot to say about various topics. Obviously, class disparity is one of the big themes of the movie, given, you know, the two main characters, Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. There's also stuff about like, you know, online echo chambers and conspiracy theories and whatnot that it's talking about, as well as, you know, corporate fuckery.
Corporate fuckery, basic misogyny.
Basic misogyny is also a part of it. One of the details I really like about the movie, for all his craziness, you can tell that Jesse Plemons' character is the more authentic of the two of them.
Yeah.
For all of his faults, he is who he is, and he's not really hiding anything. But Emma Stone's character is constantly, like, even when she's being kidnapped, hiding behind, like, corporate speak.
Yeah.
Which is clearly not the way she actually talks or thinks. But it makes you, like, even though you empathize with the fact that she's kidnapped, it actually makes her really unlikable the whole time, you know, because she's clearly not a real person. She is a corporate machine, essentially.
Yeah, she is somehow inhuman.
Whether or not she is alien,
yeah,
she doesn't feel human. They might as well be on two different planets from the way they speak.
Yeah.
This is the way she talks to her subordinates. So even though she's kidnapped, she's talking to these two men like they're her subordinates. You know, which is like, God damn it, be afraid, you know, like show some human emotion here. But you can also tell that might be just a defense mechanism on her part, so you can only be so mad at her for it, but she is unlikable regardless. And that's an interesting dynamic. You have a movie where a person is kidnapped and they're the one constantly being put at threat. And for the most part, they're the one wronged for most of the movie.
Yeah.
But they're the most unlikable character.
Yes.
And I thought that was a really interesting way to also fuck with the audience, because now your sympathies are lying with the person that you're pretty sure is not all right in the head. But what I like about the movie is it's also asking the question, who is the real victim in this situation?
Yeah, because the guy is such at the mercy of the company he works for and has done him wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely. And whether or not they're aliens, they're certainly fucking him over.
Yeah.
They certainly fucked his mom over, and they're fucking over everyone else that works at the company, as well as anyone else that lives in that town. Most likely.
Yeah.
If it's anything like Amazon, which is the obvious like analog.
Yeah, one of the obvious analogs.
Even though they also deal with like pharmaceuticals and whatnot, it's obvious that Amazon is the main thing that they're kind of pointing towards. She is female Jeff Bezos.
Yes.
Essentially. She even loses her hair at one point in the movie. According to Jesse Plemons, the aliens communicate with their hair. So he shaves her head, which just makes her look more like an alien, because he like shaves her head and then covers her in antihistamine cream to dull her senses so she can't signal out to outer space to her
can't
people.
use her psychic powers to signal the mothership.
But all this does is make her look like wet Nosferatu the entire movie, which I'm wondering if Nosferatu was actually the inspiration, because I even thought that when I saw the poster of the movie with her with like the like honey over her head.
Oh yeah.
Which is another thing. Okay, so you're probably wondering, why is the movie called Bugonia? Well, Bugonia is an ancient ritual that
was based around the belief that
bees were born from the corpses of dead cows.
Yeah.
That actually holds some thematic relevance to this movie, but we'll talk more about that in the spoiler section. But obviously there's some thematic relevance there, given the fact that the whole reason Jesse Plemons is doing this is because he believes that the bees are dying and that it's her corporation's fault. So, but you know, you can also point to it like implying other things in the movie, like, you know, from the dead corpse of corporate America spawns these crazy conspiracy theory people. Like, you can read it that way if you want, but there's actually more to it, and we'll get to that in the spoiler section. So yeah, I thought this movie was hilarious. I thought it was fucked up. This movie does get pretty bloody at the end, and there is a body count by the end of this movie. A surprising body count. I did not expect as many people to die in this movie.
Correct. Shit goes down.
In fact, for most of this movie, I was like, okay, this is a thriller, not a horror movie. And then we got to like the last act in the movie, and I'm like, oh no, it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
You know, this actually is still a horror movie.
Yeah, this is not a movie that easily fits into a single genre.
Yeah, you cannot put this movie in a corner. Like any Yorgos Lanthimos movie. Like Poor Things is like 5 different genres in one.
Yeah.
The other thing about this movie is it's like in a, I don't know if it's the exact aspect ratio, but it's in like a 4:3 aspect ratio. It's in a square aspect ratio, kind of like Lighthouse. Makes the movie feel more
claustrophobic and isolating.
Like when you're trapped in this basement with her and him, you can feel the tension in the air because like the frame itself is so tight.
Yeah.
You barely have room to breathe as a viewer watching it. And I really like its use of that. It also uses that with a combination of like really wide angle lenses, which creates this really weird surreal effect that just adds to the tone of this movie.
Yeah, the whole thing is surreal.
It's super surreal. This movie was actually written by the person who wrote The Menu, and you can kind of tell. It's got some similar kind of themes going on in this movie. So if you like The Menu, you're probably going to like this movie too.
Well, like the dialogue back and forth.
Yes. And also just like the social commentary and the humor.
Yeah.
feels very The Menu, but also there's a lot of Yorgos's like gritty surrealness, for lack of a better way of putting it. So yeah, I give this movie 2 thumbs up. I think Bugonia is actually one of my favorite movies of the year. Even if it wasn't a horror movie, it would still be one of my favorite movies of the year. This movie is just phenomenal all around. Also, the best Jesse Plemons performance, bar none, and I'm saying this as a person who is a big fan of everything he's in. I love Jesse Plemons, but this is probably like the performance he deserves an Oscar for. And with that said, let us move on to the spoilers so we can talk about whether or not Emma Stone is an alien.
She's an alien.
She is indeed an alien. That is the final twist of this movie. Okay, so the movie ultimately culminates in Jesse Plemons getting blown up by his own bomb that he wore as like, he was planning to basically beam himself up to the mothership and then like blow up the mothership and whatnot. But he ends up getting himself blown up in the process instead. And at the end of the movie, we see Emma Stone, who's completely beaten up at this point, limp her way back to her office and then beam herself up to outer space to the mothership, which is actually really close to the mothership that like he had designed on his computer to show what their ship would look like. She beams up there and basically tells the head council of the aliens, because it turns out she is the queen of these aliens, which is actually something they took directly from the original movie. At the end of the movie, the twist of the original movie is that he's the king of the aliens. The human experiment has failed and we should start over. Pops the bubble over the flat earth of the planet, killing all the humans, but leaving everything else alive. So essentially, at the end of the movie, the planet is saved, but humanity is doomed.
Yeah.
What I like about this ending is that this ending continues the movie's trend of completely fucking with you. It's like, oh, she actually is an alien, and she actually was a threat to humanity, but she wasn't a threat to the bees. Just the humans.
Just humanity.
Because humans were an experiment done by the aliens, and they're done with the experiment because it has failed and has not gone the way they want, because humans are violent, bloodthirsty, dangerous creatures, as the movie had kind of shown, actually, and now they gotta go. It is simultaneously a bleak, but also kind of hopeful ending, depending upon your perspective.
The
bleak ending is that, obviously, humanity is doomed, and this character who was wronged by this woman and her corporation loses, and the rest of humanity is dead, and he was kind of right about the alien thing, but he wasn't really necessarily right about the bee thing. Uplifting part is that actually the planet is technically saved. All the animals are still alive. The plants are still alive. It's going to keep going on. Maybe a new species will evolve from what's left there. I don't know which one I personally prefer. I guess it just depends upon my mood. If I'm feeling kind of like particularly fuck humans, I'm like, oh man, that's a very positive ending. That's a happy ending. But if I'm feeling a little bit, you know, like there's good to humanity, then I'm sitting there going like, no, it's kind of a dark ending, really, isn't it? So it really just depends upon how I feel.
Which is kind of the beauty of the movie.
Absolutely.
Although I gotta say, my favorite scenes in the movie, there is a point in the film where Emma Stone tricks the main character into killing his own mother. A horrific and hilarious sequence of events.
I know, because you know it can't end well.
Right.
When she's like, oh, in my car, there is this thing, and if you take it and you go and inject it into your mom's, IV bag, she'll be cured from her coma and she'll be all fixed. But the thing that's in her fucking car is antifreeze.
Ball of antifreeze.
That's definitely gonna kill her. But that's also coupled with the twist that it turns out that he had tortured and killed various other people under suspicion that they're aliens.
The reason he knows that she's an alien is that he's done this before.
Yes, she's not the first one. Which has the moment where I pretty much went, okay, I mean, she's gotta be an alien at this point, right? Where she gets really mad about that and then like commands him to do what she wants, and her limp goes away temporarily. And then she starts limping again later in the movie. Maybe she is an alien. She also survived that fucking like high voltage, like electric shock they gave her.
They give her this huge electric shock to prove that she's an alien.
Absolutely. And I'm just like, she's gotta be an alien, right? How the fuck did she survive that?
Oh man. And then there's when his cousin dies.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
That's one of the most shocking and horrifying scenes in the movie, because it doesn't seem like that's where it's going. It seems like she's successfully convincing him to let her go, but he takes it in this like wrong direction and just shoots himself in the head thinking that's how he's gonna go to space. She doesn't even lead him down that path. That's the part that he kind of does on his own.
I'm ready to go.
But it's a great example of how that guy is like so incapable of being on his own. He kind of needs his cousin.
Yes.
I only have one criticism of this movie. I actually really loved, for the first half of the movie, how well the movie was deconstructing the way people fall down these conspiracy rabbit holes and how much that like destroys their lives from the inside and out and like separates them and isolates them from people.
Yes.
And I actually thought the movie did a really good job of not only identifying that problem, but also dissecting how it happens and the damage it does. Now, unfortunately, as much as I love the ending does kind of take away from that dissection by having him technically be right.
He's technically right.
It's not a conspiracy theory. They are aliens and they are a threat to humanity. So now that's my one criticism of the movie. I really actually liked that part of the movie. And I kind of want someone to make like another movie that dissects that as well as this did, but without that twist. Just so we could have that out there. That being said, just as like pure entertainment, I fucking adore the way this movie fucks with you until the very end. And I love how weird and surreal that ending is when they're speaking that weird alien language to each other and then pop the fucking flat earth planet's bubble.
Oh man.
It's an ending that almost feels like the writers just midway through are just like, you know what, fuck it. Like,
yeah.
This movie is phenomenal, all things considered. I love the way it's shot. I love the acting. I love the twists and turns. I love how brutal it is. I love how funny it is. I just love this movie.
It's a good film.
It's a good film. And with that said, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
Well, you can find me here on YouTube, where I stream every weekday at about 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You should come down because we talk about all kinds of groovy things like blood, monsters, madmen, murder. How about you?
Y'all know me on The Horror Guru. You can find me at The Horror Guru on various social media platforms, but these days I primarily use Blue Sky, so follow me on there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of our videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages, and remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way, but we will certainly accept more, and these days, given the current economy, we could use more, so check that out if you have the cash. And with that said, I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below using the hashtag #NotTheBees. To quote the iconic...
Not the bees!
To quote the iconic and truly terrible Wicker Man remake with Nicolas Cage, hashtag #NotTheBees.
Because at one point in the movie Stavros Halkias shows up and is killed by bees.
And it very much made me think of that scene, but not stupid. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, peace out, and we'll catch y'all later.